Okay, guys, welcome back. All right, so as we had just discussed, there are three different types of methods of citations that you're able to implement your within your informative and persuasive speeches, right? And so we went over direct quotes, we went over paraphrasing, and we went over expert testimony. Okay, and so now, since we kind of discussed a little bit of what a scholarly source is versus what a pop culture source might be, now we're going to get into like the details of what exactly makes those two pieces of information extremely different. Again, as you guys can see, Power Rangers, that's what it is this week. So I really love them. Sorry. Okay. All right. I know. I'll go. Sorry. All right. Anyways, so so we're gonna continue on, and first we're gonna start off with scholarly sources and what those are and how we can like look through them and figure out how to use them. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna share the screen again. All right. So let's begin. Okay. So first and foremost, what are scholarly sources, right? So scholarly sources are references to materials that have been refereed. Okay, and so what does refereed means? This means that the evidence and material and knowledge that was accumulated and created by these scholars within the fields that they're creating the knowledge in has been generated through blind has been generated, right? So they actually have generated something through like an experiment or through a study that they are working on that they find extremely important to answer a question that they want to answer within their field. However, once the study is done, a report is made, and so that report is typically referred to as like like a scholarly article, right? And this scholarly article, before it gets published, it has to go through what is called a blind review. And what a blind review is that it's sent to peers within the same like field and the same discipline, the same area, under a blind review. So these peers don't know who you are. They don't know who has generated the evidence and materials that have been like accepted for publishing or not accepted for publishing. They're going through an editing process, right? And so they accept the paper, they read through it, they give any types of edits and critiques for accuracy, and then they send it back with their decision of whether to publish or not to publish. And that's what makes a scholarly article scholarly, because the referee process or that blind review process is something that needs to happen, that needs to be done, because those who are looking through this blind review process show that they're reviewing, and these are also experts, but they're reviewing the materials for like any type of misconception or inaccuracy, proper APA style, all these criteria that they go through to determine whether or not this paper is going to be good enough to put forward into the realm of academia or into the public sphere for other scholars to use within their own works as a secondary source, right? So when we think of scholarly articles, it has to go through a referee process. And the referee process, in which, like we saw on the library's database, is that when we're going through the database, we can actually click a button that says scholarly peer reviewed articles. And when you do that, it's only going to give you those peer review articles. So it uses a filtration system, but even still, that is what a scholarly article is. As in comparison to what a pop culture reference is or a pop culture source. And a pop culture source is something that comes from the media, right? That it's a piece of information that's generated through the media, and how that piece of information is how that piece of information is being backed by the science behind it, right? So the article itself has not gone through a peer review process, but they use references of peer reviewed like articles or experiments or publications or books, textbooks, all sorts of things. The article itself is what is called a pop culture source, and that is like a tertiary source, which don't worry about first, second, and third or tertiary sources. The only thing that you must understand is that the article is what makes it a pop culture reference or a source. And so it does that because it's being backed by science, but it itself has not gone through the peer review article or the peer review self for it to be considered a scholarly article. And that's what makes the difference between the two. And that's something that really has to be given a clear understanding of what is actually a scholarly article, and a pop culture reference. Okay, I hope that makes sense with everyone. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here for just a second. I need to double check on something. But in any case, that is what we will be discussing. Yes, okay, I am on track. Sorry guys, for some reason I lost my place. In any case, those are the two sources that I'm going to want to see within your informative and persuasive speeches. Okay, in your informative and persuasive speech, you're going to have at least 3 scholarly references or 3 scholarly articles, and then at least 2 pop culture references, right? Or at least 2. You can have as many as you like. I really don't care, but I need to at least hear 3 scholarly references and then hear 2 pop culture references. And that could be done in a number of ways, but you can have as many pop culture references as you like. However, I think the scholarly articles, as long as you reference 3, you're going to be fine. So don't worry about it. I'm just going to write a free response at the end of this, and I want to know a couple of things that you guys think is the difference between scholarly and pop culture. So go ahead and answer that, and then we'll move on to our second to last video, because the last video I am going to create a micro lecture on discussing the assignment. And I want you guys to pay clear attention to this because I'm going to go over it step by step by step with everyone. And I'm going to pull up the example of the outline that's on the syllabus. And we're going to give that a reference as to the outline that you will be submitting as your final outline, which will be the difference between your practice outline and your speaking outline. The final outline will be your speaking outline, and that's what we're going to reference. Okay? All right, so I will see you in the next few videos. Bye, guys.